So in terms of overcoming the challenges, basically what we did was Kathleen Matthews spoke to Bill Marriott and said, as she was coming on board, and said, I think you should blog. And she laid out her case real quickly. I think they were on a flight together. And he's like, well, I don't use a computer. And we said, no problem. So what we did was, he liked the idea. He liked it because he could talk to people. And that's what he likes to do. And the way we overcame the issue of not using a computer is we simply got a digital recorder. He records the blog. We transcribe it. So really, it's a podcast that's also a blog. And we offer the audio and the written version as well. So that was actually fairly easy to overcome. As I said, Kathleen Matthews, our EVP for Global Communications, became a champion for the effort. She began to network throughout headquarters, talking to critical senior leaders within the company to educate and socialize them on why we should be blogging, why it's the new form of communication, and why the old forms of communication are not the way we want to go. We also had to create a sense of urgency. So we announced that we were going to launch a blog on January 16th, which was the day after Martin Luther King's birthday holiday. We announced we were going to do that 1 month prior, just before Christmas. Great timing. We did that because we knew if we didn't create a sense of urgency, we weren't going to be able to move this through. We needed to have people focus their attention, and that's exactly what happened. We created what we called a blog advisory board, and these are senior-level executives, senior VPs, executive VPs, even people who are just Ps, presidents, and we got them on board. We made them feel like a part of the process, and we engaged them, so they felt they had some ownership, their voices were being heard, and they knew we were moving quickly. And it was exciting for them. And so we went around educating them. We also had a dedicated team, and this is more where I came in, cross-functional among different departments that are listed up here. And essentially what we did is we dropped everything. We cleared our calendars. We met 1, 2, 3 times a day. Different people had responsibilities for different things. IR was looking for a vendor. Could we host this on our own site? We decided no, we couldn't. Not in a month we couldn't do it. So one group is looking for a vendor, and then the other group is building sort of the editorial side. And what are the do's and don'ts and the rules, the terms of use, privacy policy, all of these other things, training tools. Everybody took a piece, and we just moved forward as quickly as we could, and we reported our progress back to the blog advisory board about every 2 weeks or so. So they felt completely engaged. And as I said, we ended up going with an external vendor called iUpload. We may one day bring it in-house, but at this point, we don't have that capability just yet. So what we did, there were a couple of us, like I blogged. I was in China. We adopted a little girl, so I blogged from China about that experience so the relatives could all read about it and see her and all those things. But we really didn't have, we had one person on the team who was a regular blogger. So we went out, we surfed the web, we read other blogs, we read reports from Forrester and other companies. We talked to Boeing, we talked to IBM. So we just began to educate ourselves in terms of what makes a successful blog. We talked to some associates who blog. We have one guy we call Information Resources, our IT department, who's been blogging for 10 years. He was terrific in terms of his advice. And as I said, we quizzed our IT vendors like IBM. And we met our deadline. This was the first blog that was launched on January 16th. And one of the interesting things is you'll notice the date of 12:01 a.m. One blogger out there said, oh, come on, 12:01 a.m.? So we learned something on the first blog. We learned never to issue anything at 12:01 a.m. But anyways, you can see, there Jonathan Schwartz, and Randy's Journal at Boeing and Senator Barack Obama were some of the sites that Mr. Marriott, we took him to. So you become familiar with the process. So in the first, in terms of our goals, and we met our 1 month deadline, and I was the moderator. I'm quasi-moderator. I've actually delegated it to someone who works for me. We got 20,000 visits in the first 2 weeks. We got 200 comments published. We probably had about 350 in total in the first week. And I thought, oh gosh, I can't do this. This is going to kill me. Happy to say it becomes much more manageable. This overwhelmed us. We thought we'd get 5,000 visits, maybe the first week. We were hoping to work ourselves up to 10,000. We had 20,000 in the first 2 weeks. So it was absolutely incredible. And I want to talk a little bit more, if we can go to the next slide, to the reaction in the blogosphere. And the interesting thing about this presentation is that a senior executive in our department needed to present about blogging as well too. And in fairness, I had both positive and negative comments. He took the negative comments out, and I didn't realize it till I read this last night. So I'm going to admit and talk to you about some of the negative comments. But basically, if you look at this and you think about what our objectives were, and the objectives are, we want to create a community, we want to talk to people. That's exactly what this response is. But gosh darn it, he wants to converse with his customers on a global level. And they thought it was a pretty good blog. Next, please. Here's a great one. This is exactly what we were looking at. His second sentence, it also made me look deeper into the company's stock information, history, and brands. People became interested in the company. They began to explore what we were about. We were beginning to create that community and expand that community. And also change our image as well, too, at least some of the perception. Again, I guess the word darn is pretty popular in the blogosphere. The only, and again, dialogue, and what an example of real listening. And that's exactly what it's about. The only negative that we got, or one of the major negatives we got, which was interesting, we first blog went out there and they were timing us, how quickly we would respond to comments. And there was one person that just kept entering blog entry after blog entry on her blog, and we're like, we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. So it was great. People were watching and people were